And even if you send the DBS. Ready? Okay, morning to everybody, morning to the press, and morning to the listeners of this press conference, both on Kyrie and DBS Radio Live. I want to especially thank the press for responding to the request to be here. Just to say that in response to the request of the press for more regular interface. Obviously, we meet bilaterally sometimes. You know, we speak to different media houses bilaterally sometimes, but the press always feel that they would like a press conference. So I want to say that we will have a fixed press conference every month. Every month, of which where I will attend myself along with some ministers, different ministers at different time, especially with the topical issues at the particular moment, but also ensure that at the ministerial level that there is regular opportunity for you to have access, because I know sometimes the media complains that they try to get a minister and the minister is not accessible or he's not prepared to speak. But we put instructions in place where those things can be addressed, so that at least you get the government side on issues which happen from time to time. So starting this month, May, we will have a press briefing by myself along with some colleague ministers. This morning I have three of them with me, Honourable Blackmore, Honourable Ian Douglas, and Honourable Dr. John Colin McIntyre. And of course I would like to recognize our press attaché, Mr. Daryl Tate, and Dr. Ambassador Philbert Aaron, who is here present. There are several subjects I'd like to give you a brief on, and you are free to ask me almost any question of your choice. Maybe there's some questions that are, but you're free to ask me any questions of your choice on any other subject matters which I raise, or any others which you like to raise with me. I would like to see if we could manage this press conference in an hour and 15 minutes maximum, because I have cabinet, have to get back to cabinet, and of course you, in the private sector, your time is very expensive. we in the government system, our time is very cheap. So, but I want to first of all speak about the 2015-2016 budget that's coming up this year. The budget this year will be focusing on some critical elements of the governance of the country. As you know, heavy emphasis will be placed on job creation. That's a major challenge confronting not only Dominica but the entire world. And we are continuing to put measures in place to seek to address this issue. And this is why we have introduced, for example, the Citizenship by Investment program. And we have seen a great interest on the part of the private sector, both foreign and local, of submitting projects under the Citizenship by Investment program. As I may have indicated some time ago, we have about 5 projects before us for consideration. These are new projects that's outside those that have been submitted to us, people who have existing projects and want to see how they can participate and benefit from the Citizenship by Investment program. Four of these 5 projects have received some level of approval from the government. Of course, you are familiar with the range development that will be taking place in the Cabridge area under the brand name Kempinski Group, which is the internationally recognized chain of hotels. That in itself will bring tremendous positive attention to Dominica because in their promotion they'll also be promoting the hotel that will be present in Dominica. That is a 141-room hotel. Based on the feedback the developers have received, based on what they've said to us, they are indicating to us that they would like to discuss the possibility of increasing that number to 200 rooms, from 141 to 200 rooms. I have said to them, great, I'm excited about that, but let us start the 141 first, and then we can discuss the additional number of rooms. The second project that has received some form of approval from the government is a 200-room hotel along in the Coconut Beach Picard area. That is a joint venture between a local group of individuals and a foreign group of persons called the Silver Beach Hotel. And that will be also financed under the Citizenship by Investment program. The third one is a development on the west coast of Dominica, I believe in the Salisbury area. That development is being done by a Dominican resident overseas who is involved in tourism development in other jurisdictions and who is bringing on board many years of success in the tourism industry. He himself being an architect, he himself being a developer, he himself being an operator. And that project, in my view, I'm particularly pleased because you're talking about a Dominican living in the diaspora and so forth and recognizing the importance of it and has decided to come back here. And you know, this is a beautiful concept and it's something that we have given some form of approval to. The fourth one is a project in the heights of Soufriere. We'll be dealing with the construction of villas. And it's a project that we're particularly pleased about because that would certainly help in diversifying the economy of the Soufriere, Scottsdale, Gallio area. We in those communities rely heavily on fishing as our main source of employment, but we need to diversify the economic activity in Soufriere, Scottsdale. So the government is particularly pleased about that project. We have had discussions with the developer and indicated to him that the project was too big, too large, and he has since taken that observation into consideration and has done some alterations to his submission. That project is now before the review committee. There's a technical committee which reviews those projects, and advice will be provided to me for my final consideration in respect to this project, and of course the approval of the cabinet thereafter. our view is that if we can get these projects going on, you're talking about several additional hotel rooms in Dominica. And one can appreciate the construction, the jobs by way of construction that will take place. As a matter of fact, we'll be hosting a symposium with the range development. I've asked them to come to Dominica, and also the gentleman from Anguilla, Dominican living in Anguilla, who will assist the government in doing a presentation to the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, to the DIC, to the Builders, the Builders Association, the Builders Association, and also independent contractors, to explain to them what these projects will entail, the quality of construction that will be required, because, for example, the range development will be at a 5-star level, and therefore the quality of construction must be at that level, because it is 5-star and 2-star and 3-star completely different in terms of the quality of construction, the quality of the finishing. So they will be bringing the architects and the procurement people to speak to the private sector of Dominica, to say to them the opportunities for the existing private sector to benefit from the construction and the presence of those properties in Dominica. Obviously, we cannot impose on them who to contract for services. But what we're seeking to say to them is, as far as practically possible, we should procure the services locally. So, for example, one of the things we have said to them, to range in particular, and I think they have given some kind of agreement with it, even with regards to building material, they themselves will not be importing it. They would give a contract or 2 or 3 to existing local suppliers of building materials, who would then import the materials on their behalf. So here is an opportunity here for suppliers. So the suppliers of building materials will also be invited to that presentation, because what I would like to do, and I will be leading that presentation insofar as explaining to the private sector of Dominica the Citizenship by Investment Program, and to solicit projects from them to be financed under the Citizenship by Investment Program. Because I would like to see local Dominicans empowered with that tool for attracting foreign investment. So that's part of the discussion I'll be having with the private sector, so that they better understand what is the Citizenship by Investment Program, and they would better appreciate how they can benefit by the provision of services and supplies to those developments and so forth. Those groups I've spoken about have already started engaging local people on their own, but we felt that we need to bring everybody together so that whatever questions or clarifications, then that would be able to be done at that level. Range in particular have also indicated that they will be starting the training of people very soon. Because if we're going to have a 5-star arrangement, we must have, as I indicated during the election campaign, for example, if we're going to raise our level of service to 5-star, to our level of facilities to 5-star, our people, the services that they provide, must also be at that level. So we're hoping that we can have a very good discussion with the private sector and other interest groups. And of course, the media will be invited to participate in the discussions and so forth. So the budget will take those things into consideration. The budget will also, you will not see any change in the government's social programs. No social program will be affected, not one. Not the school transfer grant. The 70 plus the allowance we give to people 17 over will maintain. That is costing some money, but is a commitment we made to the senior citizens of Dominica. I believe we pay out every month in excess of $400,000 to people 17 over. We will maintain the school transportation program for secondary and primary school students. We will maintain the public assistance program. And the Yes We Care program which has been a flagship social program for the government, will continue unaffected. As a matter of fact, we are looking at ways that we can even improve on the delivery of services to the senior citizens on the district care program. Having done a review of it, there'll be some changes made, but changes to enhance the program, not in any way to affect it negatively, but to enhance the program. There are a number of decisions we've taken with respect to the investment in tourism. The Cabinet took a series of about 14 decisions in respect to investments in tourism. And the Minister of Tourism would have highlighted those in the public when he met the press some time ago on one of the talking programs. A number of them, most of which were requested by the DHTA. They indicated to us what are some of the things they believe that the actions the government can take that would assist those who are already have investments on the ground in Dominica, but those who would like to have new investments. So obviously those will require amendments to existing legislation, and in some cases also bringing new legislation to address some of those issues. For example, we'll be removing VAT on complimentary rooms. We'll be removing VAT on meals to staff. That was a major talking point from the DHTA, those 2 points. But there are a number of other more profound actions that we've taken, and those will go to the Parliament. I'm hoping that we are going to on May 27, but because of some challenges in AG's chambers, we'll go in June to amend the legislation to give effect to those decisions and so on. So that'll be done even before the budget is passed and so on. Obviously, the major projects will be featured in the budget. Those are captured in our manifesto and otherwise. You're talking about the new hospital, the geothermal plant, and I just want the geothermal plant. The tremendous progress has been made in respect to advancing the project. Just last week, there were a series of consultations held with Domlec and the ownership of Domlec, because Domlec is going to be a critical partner in the delivery of energy from geothermal, because they'll be involved in the distribution. So there were discussions with them in terms of arriving at some form of purchasing agreement with Domlec, because that's important. Even before you commence the construction of the geothermal plant. So that is critical. The geothermal bill has been approved by the Ministry of Energy. It has been approved by the Ministry of the Office of the AG's office, the Attorney General's office, sorry. There were some additional comments pointed out by some of our stakeholders. So as a matter of fact, the bill would have gone to Parliament this month, but it has been held back because of the observations made by some of our stakeholders. So because of that, we have held it back for further review and to see what the points raised by our stakeholders, whether they are in keeping the government's policies or whether they would alter those policies. Once we can make a determination, then I see the course is clear to advance the geothermal project. As I indicated publicly to the country, the Cabinet has already taken a decision to contract a loan of some $50 million United States dollars from the World Bank to finance the construction of the geothermal plant. We have written to the World Bank formally, and we're now waiting a response from them. But last year, December, was it December or earlier this year? I think earlier this year, January, February, the World Bank came down to Dominica to do a presentation to the Cabinet on some of the funds that are available and the terms and conditions for renewable energy climate adaptation programs, of which the geothermal is covered and so forth. Regards to the new hospital, I want again to thank the Chinese government for this noble gift. I mean, this is, in my mind, the stadium has been fine, the road has been fine, but for me, healthcare is critical, because the presence of a top-of-the-line healthcare facility is critical. We have to deal with the PMH. There's no work you can do to fix the PMH. And the staff there, the Ministry of Health, the Minister, they are doing all what they can with the limited facility. But it is a facility that has outlived its purpose and so forth. It is run down. It is just not a place where we should, in the second decade of the 21st century, be providing the highest level of care insofar as healthcare services is concerned. So this is why we're so passionate about the hospital, because the new hospital, because we believe that it will help transform the delivery of healthcare services. It will help reduce the number of us who have to go overseas for medical services. So there'll be new services based on the advice of the Minister for Health that are not presently offered at the hospital, which will be offered at the new hospital. And this is why we are increasing our efforts to train in local Dominicans, to have them specialize in specific areas, so that we have a core of Dominicans who will be responsible for providing those services to our Dominican citizens. Obviously, we'll always need the support of friendly countries and experts from out of Dominica who can bring to bear new skills and new methods of intervention insofar as healthcare services is concerned. But the Chinese have presented to us, in my view, what is an excellent concept for the hospital. And they have taken into consideration the concerns that we've raised. We're still in consultation. The Chinese government has indicated to us that they are prepared to break ground for the hospital in July of this year. And the clear mandate to the Minister for Health is that the government must do everything possible on its side, because the Chinese are ready. The Chinese people are ready. We must do everything on our side to ensure that we do all what we have to do to break ground in July. We in Cabinet this morning, I indicated to the Minister that I would like to see us break ground as early as the first week in July, obviously subject to the scheduling of the Chinese delegation. But we are hopeful that we can break ground, because the issues that are outstanding are not insurmountable. You know, they're issues that can be addressed in a matter of a short period of time. So we want to thank the Chinese government for this gift, and our hope is that those who are delivering the services would rise to the occasion of the new facility, because at the end of the day, healthcare is too critical. You know, today you're a nurse, tomorrow you're a patient. You understand? And I think all of us must view things from that perspective. With regards to the present state of the economy, as you know, every country has been affected by the global economy. The tourists are coming in, but they're not spending as much as they would have spent otherwise. Especially, you know, you have pending elections in the United States next year. You had an election here in Britain this year. So normally during election period, people do not want to move. They want to wait and see attitude to see who's going to win and what kind of policies they'll be implementing. So people are guarding the dollar. People are guarding the dollar. And of course, we have to study the geopolitics of the world. You know, the shift in political ideology, political thinking, both from an political economy standpoint, but also from foreign policy standpoint also. So it's something that we're looking at very carefully. So we are able to meet our commitments to those who provide goods and services to us. We're able to pay our debts, we're able to pay our salaries on time, and to keep the state of the finance of the country in a sensible manner, in a good manner, to want for a better term, because we always maintain the prudent and responsible management of the state economy is critical. We do not have the kind of fiscal space as a developed country to maneuver, and therefore any action you take can have a huge impact on the way you conduct business. And also you have to be mindful of the external shocks. For example, we have monies from the European Union, but the euro has been so weak against the US dollar that you have seen a dramatic decrease in the money. So you budget $40 million from the European Union, but with the exchange rate, it will reduce by 40%. We've seen that problem on the East Coast Road, where the contractors signed with the European Union a contract in euros, but there's been a continuous decline in the rates. So that contract sum in terms of EC dollars, you've seen a drop, a difference of about $4 million on that project. And even within the budget, and so you always have to be making changes and redirecting resources and managing resources to address certain issues. We had to pay both salaries last month, April. The government had to pay both salaries and back pay. The back pay alone was $14 million. Everybody got the back pay. You know, and I understand everybody was smiling to the back pay and so forth. So you have to be doing those issues and so on. Road maintenance continues to be costly, costly. You have vehicles crashing into government property and the government has to come in to repair the railings. So when you see a vehicle crash into a government railing, we're going to pay. This is why I've been saying, why isn't the insurance covering that cost? Because you, the taxpayers, have to cover it. So a reckless driver crashes into a government railing that is spent $100,000 to fix. And we, the government, have to pay for it. You taxpayers. So it's something I believe that we need to engage ourselves in public discussion about, and to see whether when a vehicle crashes into government property, who's responsible for repairing the damage to state infrastructure, especially roads and so forth. You build up a road, and a guy with heavy equipment drives on the road with the excavators and so forth. The trucks. Who pays for that? You know? So these are things that we have to discuss as a country. But the NEP remains intact. Almost 6 months after the elections. People said that you're going to end December 9th. We have 1,326 people fully engaged under the NEP. 1,326 people fully engaged under the NEP. As Minister of Finance, I just made available to the Ministry of responsible for the NEP some $3.6 million additional to cover the next couple of months. People are getting paid on time, and the people are working. We've always maintained that the NEP is a transitionary program. It's not a permanent program. We always maintain that it is an opportunity to give people who have the skills, who've gone to university, an opportunity to use their skills in a gainful manner and to gain work experience. What we have seen is that a number of people have, because of their diligence, because of the demonstration of the competence where they work, the employer there has now taken them on full-time staff paid by those companies. So we have seen a number of people graduate out of the NEP and found permanent employment with those companies. What we're seeking to do with regards to the community enhancement project, for example, the young people who were there maintaining the roads and planting flowers, is that our hope is that they could form themselves into some company. And I have asked the Ministry of Employment to provide them with technical support to doing that. Form themselves into companies, and the government would contract their services. Because that's good business there, because the amount of money we spend on brush cutting across the country is a huge sum. So it's an opportunity for them to be able to own their business, become employers themselves, and have enough time to do private work for other people and so forth. So that's what we're seeking to do, and to move the young people into that direction. There are people who are under the farming program. They were engaged for 6 months. Those of us in farming know that when you plant dasheen, it'll take about 6-7 months to ripe. So we're hoping that by now you have dasheen and you have planting to be able to sell to the market, and lettuce and cabbage and so, because cabbage is 3 weeks. your cabbage selling and so forth. So we believe that, so now we're now doing an assessment on the field, on your farm now, to see how well you have utilized that assistance from the government on the farm. So we do not want to have any kopelape out there who say they were farming and really going up there and just relaxing and so forth. So we're sending people on the field to look at what did not happen on the field and to see how well you've been utilizing those monies on the farm. So if we believe that you need further support, then we'll give you further support. But nobody must read the NEP as the government giving you money and you liming. It's not going to happen. It's not liming money. It's not money it's money being paid to you to do work. So this is a message that we've been sending to everybody who is employed under the program. And this is why some people have been laid off, because they have not been working. They have not been diligent. So there are people who have been laid off by the Ministry of Responsible NAP. We're very serious about this thing. If there are reports from a supervisor in the field that the person hasn't come to work today, hasn't come up tomorrow, he hasn't come to work for the week or 2 weeks, he's removed. And he doesn't get paid if he doesn't show up for work. So there's a report to the village council. If you don't work on a particular day, you won't get paid. So it's not money that we're giving to people as contrary to what you hear out there. It's a program that is run seriously with good management and so forth. So the NEP is going very, very well so far. I want to also report to you, as you would have heard otherwise, that the European Union, the Council of Ministers have set a date for the signing of the visa-free entry of Dominicans into the Schengen states. That date is May the 28th in Brussels. So we're very grateful for the European Union for this decision. It would mean, therefore, now, post the signing, that persons who are holding a Dominican passport, whether it is a diplomatic service or ordinary passport, would be able to travel to the Schengen states, to France, to Spain, to Greece, and others, without requiring a visa. I believe this is great news for all Dominicans. It would certainly facilitate our ability to travel, and we want to thank the European Union for this. And certainly it demonstrates the level of relationship which we have with the European Union, the respect that they have. Because understand this visa-free hasn't been taken lightly by the European Union. They have to do their own independent investigation and assessment of the security of your passport. They also ask questions about our economic citizenship program. Look at the system, look at the due diligence process. So a number of variables were taken into consideration in granting us that opportunity to travel to the Schengen states without requiring a visa. So I believe it's good news for Dominicans, and we look forward to its coming to effect. And it's been long in coming. It had to do a lot of negotiations. As you know, the European Union has many processes, many steps that to go through. You have to go to the Council of Ministers, have to go to the European Parliament, have to go back to national governments and so forth. So it's a long process on the side of the European. But they finally set a date. We've gotten formal communication on this, and we will be present in Brussels to sign this agreement with the European Union. I just came back on Sunday evening from Martinique and Guadeloupe, meeting with the French president. I had a bilateral meeting with the French president to speak on Dominica-France relations. But I also took up the opportunity, being the chairman of OECS, to speak on OECS matters. And I raised a number of issues with the French president, one of which is the issue of scholarships for Dominican students to study in France, and also the teaching of the French language at our schools. I said to the French president that over the years we have seen a dramatic drop in the level of support which the French Republic gives to OECS countries insofar as the teaching of French is concerned. And I believe that by providing scholarships to Dominican students, and OECS students for that matter, to study in the French departments, to study in the French, in Paris, in France itself, would enhance the relationship which exists between Dominica and France, and of course Dominica and the OECS. So we look forward to that. The other issue I raised with the French president has to do with the policy which the European Union has, which is called the neighborhood policy. It deals with countries which share a border with European countries. So it exists in Europe and it exists in other regions, but not in the Caribbean. And what that does is that it tries, they have a policy where they provide support to countries which share a border with Europe, to seek to help them to get to the level or close to the level of the economic well-being and social well-being of the European states. And I said to the French president, look, we are in, we're bordering Europe, because from Martinique and Guadeloupe, the OECS, not only Dominic, but the OECS. And we believe that he should push the European Union to have a similar neighborhood policy for us in the OECS. If Europe is slow in doing it, then let's study France. So let France have a neighborhood policy for us and so on. That will involve economic activity, that will involve healthcare services. You understand? And on a number of other areas that we can certainly gain support from the French government from. Of course, there is the issue of security with the French. Not only security over borders and so forth, but also disaster management, disaster mitigation and so forth. The French have used reservoir resources, both human and financial, insofar as disaster management is concerned. And we like to enter in some kind of framework with them to provide that service and so forth. I raised with them also the geothermal, the French president, the geothermal. As you know, France has been very helpful to us. When EDF pulled out, the presidential palace gave instruction, the cabinet of the French Republic gave instructions to the then Minister for Overseas Territories, Mr. Victorien Lurel, who is now the president of the Regional Council of Guadeloupe, to bring together some French companies, some of which are state-owned, to work with the government of Dominica in the realization of its geothermal potential, both for the domestic plant and but also critically for the export to Martinique and Guadeloupe. So the presidential palace has been very helpful in putting this consortium together. But I've said to him that the AFD, the Agence Française de Développement, which is a great partner of Dominica, and the OECS, there are issues with them now, in that they're not lending money to countries that have been graduated to middle-income countries. So they're adopting the World Bank approach, which I think is a bad approach to take. But also they must revisit their rates, their lending rates, especially with regards to renewable energy projects. So it's something that he has asked me to formally write to him on, so that they can have a better appreciation for our concerns. So I will not only be writing as the Prime Minister of Dominica, I will also be writing as the Chairman of OECS, because I think it is an OECS-wide concern, which we will visit them. And there are a number of issues I raised with the French president, but I also spoke on behalf of the BVI and other countries that have been blacklisted by the French with regards to the financial services sector. The BVI in particular had been blacklisted by the French. They had cited 119 cases, which virtually everyone has been addressed by the BVI authorities. And I said to the French president, look, if you blacklisted the country for 119 cases and they've addressed virtually all of them, I think the time has come for a review of the French position. So he has indicated very clearly that when he gets back to Paris and so on, he will have his people review the position. And if there is cause to reverse the decision, then they will certainly remove the BVI and the Bahamas and others from the blacklist. So it's something that we would like to look at. And of course, we had the climate change summit, the summit on climate change, in preparation for COP21 in Paris. There will be this critical meeting in Paris in December. The discussion on climate change has been a long drawn-out issue, much to the frustration of the developing countries, because the developed world are not prepared to take the actions that they need to take at the national level. So they are not prepared to commit internationally to some of the requirements based on all of the studies that have been made. So there has been a real challenge in that regard. But we were able to speak very frankly and respectfully to the French president to indicate to him the concerns of small island states like ours. So I was able to address the conference as the chairman of the OECS, and we indicated to the French president a number of things which COP21 in Paris needs to arrive at. Our view is that if there is not an agreement in Paris in December, we do not see how the discussions can continue with regards to climate change. And whatever agreement that is arrived at in Paris must be binding. It should not allow anybody to go to the national countries, national capitals, and be able to change those agreements in any form or any substance, in a substantive manner way. But that's a concern that we have. The decision will be taken, and then there'll be changes to it and so forth. So we look forward to it. Clearly, the OECS and CARICOM will participate fully in the discussions in Paris. But we felt that this meeting, sharing with the French president our views, and hoping that he can now use that information and the declaration, which we had a declaration on, citing a number of concerns, citing a number of recommendations that the summit agreed to, that there will be a summit of the G7 and the G20 this year, which France are members of. And our hope is that the French president can use his presence and membership in those meetings to draw to the attention of the G7 and the G20, which are two critical institutions in arriving at an agreement in Paris in December, because these are the world's 20 largest economies. And without their agreements, with their concurrence on what has the actions that have to be taken, then we can get nowhere. Okay, so we're hoping that, and also we'll be having a summit, the EU CELAC summit in Brussels in June of this year, and we've asked the French president to place the Martinique declaration on the agenda for the summit in June, which he has agreed to do. The French president has also agreed to revisit the French decision that was taken by President Sarkozy to withdraw from the CDB, the Caribbean Development Bank. A strong case was made to him to have the French come back into the CDB, because the French were always a critical partner to the CDB. And of course, there'll be additional monies coming from the French. So we're hoping that the French president will be in a position to take action in respect to the re-entry of France into the CDB. As we speak, we have a delegation from China there, from the private sector of China, of some 13 people, 14-member delegation. This is as a result of my recent visit to China and inviting them to look at investment opportunities in Dominica. So they've been having discussions with all of the relevant government departments, talking about the airport, talking about hotel development, talking about port development. So they've been having discussions with all the relevant government departments with a view to furthering those discussions and getting to the point where you can see actual physical investments in the country. We've always maintained that we have excellent relations with the People's Republic of China at the diplomatic and government level. What we need to do, we've been saying and we've been working on this, is to have the same kind of relationship with the Chinese private sector by having them invest in Dominica, because we need those kind of investment, whether it's light manufacturing, whether it is in tourism. We need to see how we can get those Chinese private sector investments to invest in Dominica. I must say that we have the support of the Chinese government in that regard. And for example, Minister Blanchard will travel to China, I believe, next month, and leading a delegation to have some meetings there and attend the conference on behalf of the government of Dominica. With regards to the issue at Lindo Park, as you know, the stoppage of work there. Clearly, the government is not opposed to any community-based organization raising funds to address an issue in its community. And so we applaud those things and we commend those things and we encourage those things. But obviously, the government position is that these things have to be done properly, especially where it involves state property and the alteration of state property. And the involvement of the state agencies responsible for those properties. For example, in the case of lands, the Commissioner of Lands is the one responsible for this matter. Instead of playing fields, the Ministry of Sports. And those entities ought to be involved in the process of determining what has to be done, because the Ministry of Sports has its plans for them. For example, we have Lindo Park on a list of playing fields to provide lighting, we will be utilizing solar lights. But we're not aware of the Lindo Parks Committee's program, project to put lights there. So you see where you can go cross purposes. What I believe they will be meeting either this week or next week, because the Ministry of Sports will lay down certain conditions. You know, for example, the question must be asked and answered. You're fencing the Lindo Park. Most playing fields, if not all playing fields in Dominica, are not fenced. It is for public use, like a beach. People need to have access to the beach. People need to have access to the playing field. Now, when you fence the playing field, would there be gates to enter and exit the playing field? If there are gates, would the gates be locked? If the gates are locked, who will be in possession of the keys? So if some young ladies want to play rounders and practice rounders in the afternoon after work, how do they get access to the playing field? If the basketball players want to play some basketball, how would they get access to the basketball court? If it's going to be fenced, if it's going to have gates, if it's going to be locked. The committee has to be reconstructed, and our insistence is that a representative of the sports division ought to sit on the committee to ensure that the facility in its planning allows for unfettered access by the community, because it is a community-based playing facility. It's for everybody who lives in the vicinity and in the Goodwood area. So it is not the property of a committee. It's a state facility that's open for anybody who would like to play. So all of it, a number of issues have to be addressed. But I don't see the government saying to the Australians to take their money back. This is not going to happen. The government will ensure that the money is spent, but we have to put things in place, because you see, sometimes people try to politicize things, but the country, I cannot take action if the Constitution and the laws of Dominica do not give me that authority. I am constricted by the laws of Dominica. You understand? And if the cabinet is taking a decision and the Attorney General feels that the law doesn't allow it, the agent will draw it to our attention and we have to change the decision, because we have to go according to the laws of the country. So we have to be careful that if we allow these things to happen and not take action on it, not stand on the side of the law, then what prevents somebody from going to pitch a tent in the compound of the president? So they jump the fence at 2 o'clock in the morning, and when the president wakes up, he sees a tent with some family members there and 2 goats tied to the fence. And then we'll say, well, the family is homeless, and the president has enough yard, enough space there, so let the people stay. So we have to do things properly. We are a civilized country, and therefore we have to understand that things have to be done properly. If we allow it to not be done properly from day one, we're going to have a problem. We'll have a problem. So our view is this: let us do it properly, so that everybody who is involved knows what is going to happen. So we cannot try to do things clandestinely. So let's do things properly, so that we can all speak on this clearly and how it should be done. With regards to the Salisbury situation, we are not opposed to anybody expressing their concerns to the government or to any other entity. But the government's view and the view of the law is that these things must be done in a lawful manner. So when people want ministers to go and address the demonstrators, we cannot do that. This is tantamount to the police coming on a marijuana plantation, and the people who are the cultivators of marijuana saying that they want to see the Minister of National Security before they can give up the marijuana to the police. You know, and I mean, that it cannot be done. Our suggestion to the people down there yesterday was, look, both the Minister for Agriculture, and the Minister of Public Works and the senior staff are prepared to meet with you anytime yesterday, you know, in the Ministry of Public Works, so we can let you know the situation. And secondly, that the Prime Minister will be prepared to meet the delegation, including the Parliament, at 2 p.m. today, Tuesday, following which a date would be set, for a town hall meeting or a meeting in the community of Salisbury, whether on the Farm Access Road site itself or in the town hall facility. Our preference would be to go on the site in the Farm Road to see exactly the thing and to speak widely to the wider farmers group community to give them an update. Because some of the comments I heard people making who said demonstrating, I was totally shocked to know that they are not aware of the BAM, and that the feeder roads, the improvements to feeder roads is a major component of the BAM. I don't know if they were saying so because they really did not know, or saying so that they could justify the actions, whichever it is, as a matter for them. So that was what we were proposing. We will go down there and have the town hall meeting, whether they do not want it or not. So the government will go down there. I'm going to be out for the next couple of days, but as soon as I return, because I would like myself to be there for the town hall meeting, to speak to the farmers, not only on the Farm Access Road, but on agriculture broadly. So I will go down there to discuss with them and so forth. But clearly, none of us should condone the actions taken. The damaging of police vehicles, the pelting of stones at the police and others who were there. Clearly, the farmers may have started this thing with good intentions, and other elements took over the farmers' demonstration and caused it to get into the state. I know farmers in Salisbury. I know several of the farmers in Salisbury, a lot of them personally. Some of the hardworking farmers in Salisbury. And I do not see them spending a whole day away from their farm, away from harvesting, to get themselves involved in that kind of thing. They would express themselves, but I do not see that. But I'm not prepared to belabor to stress on the demonstration. Let's move forward. There's a BAM, of which the Salisbury Heights and the Carhome Road is a top priority. Like the Calibishi Heights, like the Kayambok and Vauxhall roads in the north. These roads are top priority. There is tremendous cultivation taking place, especially on the Carhome side of it. There's a guy from St. Joseph who is a huckster who started doing his own planting. There's also Ferrero, what's his? I think he's the. I was mixing him with so many Ferreros in this country. That's why I mixed them. Clyde Ferrero and so on. Who are and the other Vidal gentlemen and so forth. So I have my own frustrations with the BAM, and I've expressed to the European Union. As a matter of fact, while the people demonstrated, I was having a meeting with the European ambassador to Barbados and the OECS. And I said to him, you see what's happening in Salisbury, largely because of the delay in the European Union process of getting this BAM started. Because there are a number of stages you have to follow with regards to getting the thing. For example, the Ministry of Public Works would do an assessment of the feeder roads. based on the advice of the Ministry of Agriculture. The Ministry of Agriculture would have given the list of the farm roads. They would send the European Union has to send give another consultancy, which they have given, to validate. So the consultant did it once, local consultant did it. The Ministry of Works had to validate what the local consultant did. Then the European Union has to send another consultant, the gentleman from St. Lucia, to validate what the Ministry of Works validated. And all of these things have to be sent to Barbados. All of them have to be sent to Brussels for final approval. So there's a long process. Because of our frustration in the delay of the farm roads, I said to the Cabinet, I said to the Ministry of Agriculture, there are some roads that we may have to do some interventions while we wait for the European Union. And we've identified 3 roads to do the intervention. The Carhome Road, the Salisbury Heights Road, and the Calabishi Heights Road. Because these are 3 critical farm roads for the country. I had the occasion myself, along with the ministers, to visit the site. And they submitted a proposal to us which was beyond the scope of what we indicated. And what we agreed is that we would do 2 or 3 sections, the critical sections in the Salisbury Heights, and 2 critical sections on the Carhome side of things. And we believe that if we can address those 3 and those 2, it will certainly ease the struggles of the farmers in those communities. Work will start this month. The only reason why there was a delay in processing with it was, one, the procurement issue, and secondly, because we were paying back pay and salaries at the same time, we had to hold back on certain projects, including one of my own constituency. My people listening to me now will know I signed a contract. I approved a contract to do this section of road in Floor, in Zabico, in the heights of in Tibo there, between Tibo and Vegas, for $260,000, and so on. I had to hold it back because we had to give priority to payment of to public officers their back pay. Now that we have paid the back pay, I've given clearance to the Ministry of Finance to proceed. As in my constituency, as the Minister of Finance. So it's not a situation where, anybody is being set aside for whatever reason or whatever considerations. You understand? So that is what. It's interesting that the member of Parliament would be part of the demonstration, because when I went to visit the road, he ridiculed my visit. My visit to the farm roads were ridiculed. And there were people there, because of their politics, were complaining that we don't want the road anymore, we don't want the road anymore. We were driving up, guys were driving and would tell us they don't want the road anymore. But we're persistent. So we should see. So I am prepared to come to Salisbury to talk seriously with farmers. I'm not going to quarrel with anybody. Let's talk seriously with farmers, about farming. Not only about farmers is a component of farming and so forth. But the number of farmers who receive support from the Ministry of Agriculture through inputs, fertilizer and other pesticides and so forth, and also planting material. The farmers who have cocoa and coffee and planting material and who benefited from the horticultural program there. The new techniques in planting yams, the new techniques in planting ginger. We have programs for dashing and so forth. So they are benefiting. And when I look at the list of farmers in the country who benefited from assistance from the Ministry of Agriculture, a large percentage of the company West Coast of Dominica. Farmers who cultivate on Salisbury Heights, Carhome, and there are a couple others there in Cafe and so forth. So I'm prepared to come to talk not only about farm roads, let's talk about farming, agriculture, because there's some serious people there that would like to engage on things. And my hope and prayer is that those young men who sit on the block, who do not want to work, will be present to say, well, look, I want a cutlass, and I want some planting material, because I really want to clear off some land in Salisbury Heights to start planting. So I would like to also hope, I'm hoping that they would come themselves, those who will pelt in the stone, because farmers will not pelt in stones. I know for a fact, farmers will not pelt in stones. So I want them to come forward and say that I want to get off the block. I want to work. This is what I want government to do for me, to help me, to address my unemployment status, and to be productive in the country. So we're looking forward to that. And of course, under the BAM, we have the 20,000 plantlets. My advice is that the 20 farmers, 20 farmers in the first instance will be engaged, 10 in Castle Bruce and 10 in the Calabishi area, Calabishi, Woodfordale, Wesley area, will be engaged as part of the pilot program and so forth. Of course, this is a major investment by the government. You know, I have people criticize the type of plantlets we had, but that's the same as the Martinique and Guadeloupe, and they're doing fine. You see, that's what the market is demanding. No, that's the type of bananas the market is demanding, they come from a country that purchases a large, I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of bananas every year, in France. And this is an advice given to us by technical people. We didn't advise ourselves. The Minister of Agriculture didn't advise himself on that. We were purely advised by experts in the field. That this is the variety the market is demanding. This is, they believe will do well in our climatic conditions, because it's doing excellent in Martinique and Guadeloupe. Martinique and Guadeloupe were highly infested with black sickle and that variety has been doing very well, notwithstanding the presence of black sickle in Martinique and Guadeloupe. We're working with fair trade very well, and our hope is that farmers can push it. And once you can push it, we'll also bring another 40,000 plantlets, because the program is for 60,000 plantlets. We'll bring another 40,000 plantlets very soon to deal with the additional farmers, because I think we're targeting 100 farmers. Is correct? 100 farmers under the program. So, because we believe in bananas, people talking about less the bananas alone. We believe in bananas. We believe it's important for us from a food security standpoint. There is still a large domestic and regional market for it, and we believe if we can correct our quality problem, we can still have access to the European markets. But from a government standpoint, we will do everything possible to provide the resources and the support to the farmers insofar as bananas is concerned, agriculture as a whole. The two final points, one with the abattoir. We had some challenges with the abattoir. We have since addressed those. We have entered into an amended agreement with the contractors. Work started about 3 weeks ago. Work is ongoing there. The schedule for completion is July of this year. And we see this as being a very important component of the agricultural industry, agricultural sector. Because if we can reduce the importation of pork and poultry products to the country, we can keep a lot of our money in Dominica. But at the end of the day, it will have to do with our consumption practices. Our people have to decide, when we go to the supermarkets, we have to make a determination on what do we buy. It's like our Lube water as opposed to imported water. We decide when we go to the supermarket, because it's a free economy. We decide what we buy. So it is left to us to determine whether we're going to support locally produced chicken and pork and make those demands to the supermarkets so that they can stock their shelves and freezers with our local chicken, our locally produced pork, so that we can help the farmers at the end of the day and help the economy and help keep jobs in Dominica. Because we have to understand, every time we buy something that's imported in Dominica as opposed to something that is manufactured in Dominica, we are exporting jobs. We're exporting jobs. And I find it extraordinary that we'll go into a supermarket and buy 2 cupcakes in a little plastic bag with some fancy print. When we make the best cakes in Dominica. You know, Ruben's across from Aston has some nice cake there. They don't put much sugar in it and so forth, coconut cake. And so it's a free advertisement for Ken Robinson, you know. But there are many people who do some fine pastries in Dominica. And we have to learn to support them. So instead of buying the 2 little cupcakes from Trinidad with a little lime taste in it, let's buy it from Dominica. Because we have to understand that we are exporting our jobs. So the government can do all what the government wants to do. It is up for the people to decide what they want. So when I hear people talk about the government, we must ask ourselves, am I assisting the government in achieving its objective? It's like solid waste. We're not helping solid waste address the issue of garbage collection in our country. Everybody wants to put everything they have in their yard on the side of the road for solid waste. So, banana peel, some branches and leaves, everybody puts that on the side of the road, where you can put that in our backyard and compost. And how can solid waste really sustain the collection of all of these things across the country? If we, especially in the rural communities, I can understand those of us in rural who do not have yards. But those of us from the rural communities, from the villages, there's no reason why we should be saying dashing peel and planting peel down to Roseau, to a place called Labas. Leaves, we cut a branch in our yards in the countryside, and we have an acre of land in our head, so much land in the backyard to throw it off, and then we send it to Roseau. Boxes, empty boxes that will rot, and so you place it out there in the banana field, it will rot eventually. We send it to Roseau. And then we complain when the truck comes and it can only cover half of the village because of the amount of garbage they're receiving half of the village, as opposed to the whole village. But how many times do we expect a garbage truck to travel from Roseau to a far village from Roseau? We have playing fields. The government spends money on playing fields, but people expect the parliament and the government to come and cut the grass. The only thing that the sportsmen don't ask us to do is to play for them. They don't practice. They don't come maintain the playing field. You know, what do we do? So we have to recognize our responsibilities. The farm access roads, I've spoken about this long before this issue in South. I've always spoken about this thing publicly. Because I've been to farm roads where we have done those farm roads since we came to office. And they have been reduced to total destruction because a coconut branch is on the road, on the side of the road. Leaves are in the road. The farmer's farm is clean, but the grass is high grass, 10 feet tall, between the road and his farm. He cuts his banana stuff from his farm and he throws it on the road, on the side of the road. Blocks the road, the drains, water washes the surface, and the seawater washes the surface. But it's important for you, the press, to go and see those areas yourself and to see what we're talking about. So when these reports are made, you can understand and appreciate these things. Leaves, where a man could simply stop and take his cutlass and clear the leaves. A coconut isn't a drain. A tree falls and we all drive by. So I'm saying that there are some things that we can do for our community, for ourselves. Because when the road is blocked, people believe that it is only Roosevelt Skerrit who can be affected. I am just one person of 71,000 people. All of us will be affected. Every single one of us will be affected. Not only me and the ministers. But we have to help and support the government efforts. Because if we build a road, and you don't maintain it, you don't help maintain it, what's going to happen? People buy land from government, they don't pay. They buy land from the private people at 3 times the amount, and they go to the bank and take a loan and pay 1 time. People don't want to pay a basic fee to get a service from the government, but they'll pay $300 US to get a Liat flight to Barbados, They'll spend $300 for a hotel in Barbados. They'll spend $150 to apply for the visa. They'll pay tax in Dominica. They'll pay tax in Barbados. They have to go downtown by Cape Shepherd to shop. They have to shop. So they spend $1,500 to get a visa. And when they go to the consulate, the US tell them, no, you can't get it. So there's no guarantee to get it when you spend $1,500 to get a US visa. But we don't want to pay $100 to get a service that is costing the government $1,000 to provide it to you. So that's why I believe that we have to look at government services, for example, and to see where we have to contribute as citizens of the country. Because if you want certain things in the government, you have to ask yourself, where is the government getting the money for it? Where is the government getting the money to do it? You understand? So these are things that we have to look seriously at discussing and so forth. But I will end here and allow you to ask me some questions, please. But thank you.
Security Minister, questions to you. We're just hearing reports here, just coming in 2 minutes ago, that people may be planning or protesting as they speak back in Salisbury. And it's in light of what I heard this morning before coming here, that they were moved to arrest the MP, Mr. Hector Strackstraw. Can you speak to that and maybe confirm or not confirm that that may be so?
Well, I'm not the police. I do not know about this. I do not know of anybody being arrested. That question you better address to each of the police. I don't get, contrary to what some people say.
I'm addressing the security minister.
No. I'm the Prime Minister. I'll decide who answers. Okay. And I know for a fact that the minister has no authority to give instructions or doesn't give instructions to the police on who to arrest, who not to arrest. For example, I learned from the Chief of Police yesterday of people whom they have charged at other demonstrations I wasn't aware of. So I have never gotten involved in the issue of neither any of the ministers who have served with me as Minister of National Security, including Honourable Blackmore, to give instructions to the police on who to charge, who not to charge, when to charge them, why not to charge them. I don't get involved in this, man. I only get reports where there is a serious crime of murder or something like that nature. I get security briefs from the region and national security briefs, like the minister himself. But in terms of policing work, you know, if the public raises a concern of injustice, I will ask a question. You understand? But I can only ask a question insofar as my authority allows it. So I'm not aware of this issue with who the police is arresting and so forth. But this is a matter which should be addressed to the police. But just to say to you, though, that you will agree that some of the things that took place yesterday was not necessary. I mean, pelting of stones. I mean, I saw police vehicles damaged. There's one police officer who got a stone right in his chest. You got stoned yourself. You know what I'm saying? So you might very well be a witness of the prosecution. but seriously, there's something that were not necessary. So I mean, a point was made. It was illegal. The point was made, and you know we should have recognized that. Efforts were made to set it to get us to clear the roads and so forth. But insofar as whatever actions the police would take, all I can say to you is that yesterday I ensured that both myself and the minister who met with the police to indicate to them that great restraint must be exercised. You understand? Great restraint must be exercised. You know, in dealing with the matter, because we recognize that the farmers they were overtaken by other elements in there. You know, but insofar as the report that you're receiving, I do not have that report, sir.
Yeah. First question, you spoke on the issue of lands, and I'm aware that in terms of land, a number of people that government would have allocated lands to, say in the Point Michel area, in the Jimmy area. It's been many years, they've not paid for those lands, and government is asking for resources. What is government intention as it relates to repossessing those lands so other people can get that, because government is asking for cash and there are people who are willing to pay now for years now. What is government's position on that?
Well, in some cases, we sell it to you, we give you a period of time to pay it by. So normally the letter would say 3 months. Okay? Some people ask for more time, we give them more time. Because we understand how things. You try to negotiate a loan, you have difficult to get a loan. So, we're not adverse to that and so on. We have in fact repossessed some property, some lands from people, and resold them. So that's ongoing. But obviously, every case will have to be looked at on its own. And so that's why we're doing that. We're doing that. But it's a major concern for us. The other concern we have in respect to VAT. When VAT was introduced, it was just introduced and we removed a number of pieces of taxation. Consumption tax, hotel occupancy tax, sales tax. Sales tax was 7.5%, remember? 7.5%. We removed that. Consumption tax would go as high as 30-40%, depending on the type of item you import into the country. We removed those taxes. The idea was to simplify the tax structure. And make it more relevant to the situation. So you move to more consumption. But we see a situation where a number of people are withholding VAT from the government. So they charge you, the consumer, the VAT, because there's a line item called VAT, and they do not remit to the state.
So what does the government do?
No, the law provides for action. But the thing is, when you take action, people like yourself in the media, not necessarily you yourself, but people like yourself in the media. I'm talking to College John Baptist there. Say, well, the government is going after these people and that's wrong and so on and so on. But the law is the law. You see, and if we do not respect the law, then we have a problem. So it is incumbent on us to recognize our own responsibility to the state. And if we have transacted business with the state, then let us remit to the state.
But there must be no cherry picking.
There's no cherry. There's none at all. There's none at all. There's none at all. I can tell you that. There's no cherry picking at all.
Because if people are not paying VAT, X, Y, and Z, not because you are supporting this party or that party, you're not paying.
I've had people who support Labour Party who vex me today, and who become financiers of the UWP because of the actions of the government on them. I mean, you may know some of them. I mean, with the hope that the taxes would have been cancelled. People have come to me to cancel taxes, but Sportsman, look, I mean, we can't owe the government all this money, and you have all of this property. I mean, I have schools to build, I have roads to build, I have police to employ, I have, people to help, and you might expect me to cancel this amount for you. I can cancel the interest and the penalties, but the principal you must pay. But people expect me to come because they may be supported by us, sign my name and say, okay, clear off and so on. But we have to make our contribution. Because when we go to the United States, we have no difficulty in paying taxes, Every turn you make in America is a tax, Every turn. You have more parking police in the United States than you have people in Dominica, in Manhattan itself. But we pay. We have no problem in paying. So we have to pay here.
I
Yeah.
want to ask
Sure.
on the citizenship by investment program you mentioned earlier, and you mentioned that 4 to 5 projects have been sort of approved on the project. I know the United States has a lot of the Caribbean countries under the microscope, countries that have the citizenship by investment program. I know we have made several changes. They have instituted new measures to sort of change the way we used to do that, conduct that program. And I know the concerns though by the United States, and I know tremendous pressure has come on St. Kitts and Nevis in particular, just recently in terms of the program that they offer. Are we going to probably institute more changes because of the concerns that the US have? Or are we going to
I can tell you, my friend, and the public, that the U.S. government considers our program to be the model in the Caribbean. And these are the words of the United States government. We have been working in the United States for the last 4 or 5 years on the economic citizenship program. And they've been very helpful to us, and we've implemented a number of important changes. Our due diligence process is robust because I believe while the money that we get from the program is good to the country, we have to ensure at all times, with no exception, that this program can stand the test of scrutiny by any independent agency. Because one error you make in this program can create untold problem for you as a country. And I am not prepared for $200,000 to jeopardize the name that the good name that we have cultivated for Dominica in the international community. So our program in the eyes of the international community, United Kingdom, European Union, United States, is a well-regulated program. As a matter of fact, the U.S. have said to some that they should speak to us so we can share with them some of the things that we're doing. And we are, in fact, sharing it for our colleagues. Some of the things we're doing, the software we're using, the due diligence process that we're utilizing. So our program is an excellent program. It is well regulated. It is properly managed. We gazette everybody who applies, who is successful rather on this. With anybody who has the slightest adverse report on him will not be processed under this program. So it is very, very properly regulated and well regarded by the U.S. in particular.
The PM, they're stuck that in terms of the people who are out there dealing with that position in terms of selling the passports. There are lots of talk that it appears to be one set.
Well, first of all, we don't sell passports, so let's not put it as passport.
Okay.
But I do not know about one set. I mean, we have a number of agents out there. We have, in fact, approved some more in recent time. The problem is that, there are people who take the program seriously and who invest in the operations overseas. And therefore, these people will be more successful. The people who spend money to do promotions in different parts of the country. The people who sit in Dominica and wait for somebody to come to them. The others who go in the marketplace and fetch those people. So you will have some agents who are well organized, who are spending the monies to promote their services, and who may be doing better than others. I'm not at liberty to call people's names, but let me assure you, it's not because of any preferential treatment given to any one person or group of people.
No politics involved?
No politics involved. You'll be surprised who are the people who are staunch loyal people who are agents, and I don't play politics things. I mean, once my view, my brother, is that once somebody is serious about the country, and you see my politics. That's why we have included. Julius Timothy was the deputy leader of the LP. He's a staunch member of the Labour Party now. So anybody who is serious about Dominica and who wants to work in the government, I'm not asking you to support me, but who wants to work in the government to bring about improvements to the country, I'm prepared to do that. I come to this job with no political axe to grind. I had no history in politics. You know what I'm saying? I had no history in politics. I wasn't there in the 70s or the 60s, on these things. So check the list of people who are agents and you let me know. There's a preference or something. Nobody listens. It's on the website. It's on the government website. Yes. So the government website. So it's right there. So I see you smiling. So I suspect you know some of the people.
Mr. Prime Minister, the money for the new hospital you speak of, it's loans or grants?
It's a grant. It's a gift from the government of China, and it's one of the projects under the MOU.
Yeah.
It's a grant. It's a gift from the government of China.
Another project in the Mount Akoma.
It's not Mount Akoma. I didn't say Mount. It's the heights of I'm at liberty now to disclose the developer.
The heights of Super.
Yeah.
That's a different project.
A different project, yeah.
Okay.
But once we finalize, when we give final approval to some of them, we will have a public signing of this thing. I want people to know about this thing, a public signing, and it will be posted in the government website.
Are the Chinese investors who are now here also looking at the international website?
They are. Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to go to the Lindo Park. You made some comments there. I mean, your comments are basically factual, but I want to go to probably the last part that you spoke about in terms of the committee and the makeup of the committee. Salient point, but are we now going to see then government heading that route? Say, for example, the Newtown area that is fenced, it is managed by whoever it is. Are we now going to see then government putting or wanting to have someone from the sports division from government in that on that committee? Because I mean, your concerns are justified, but are we now going to see something like this across the board?
Well, it has. I mean, as you know, we have tried. You've been in sports for a long time. The government and successive government. I'm not talking about this government, but successive government will allow communities to, as far as practically possible, to take charge of play facilities. We have in Granby, for example, the Geneva Park. The committee has done an excellent job in improving the playing field. We have in Pont Michel, the committee that has improved, Portsmouth, the basketball court. And the Benjamin's Park in Portsmouth is being managed by a committee involving the town council, cricket people, and so forth. So they maintain the cutting of the grass. The government is not involved in cutting of the grass in Benjamin's Park. The local people in Portsmouth do that. You understand? In vehicles and so on, the government is not necessarily involved. The park was able to raise funds, got a grass cutter, and was able to raise funds to pay the person to help cut the grass. So there are different areas where you have this thing, and we encourage those things. But with the coming on stream of the National Sports Council and the new Sports Act, and the sports policy, we expect those things to be addressed. The management of community-based facilities. Because what the Lindo Park has done is that it has drawn to the fore a concern which community people have been raising about the local management of playing fields. I have been to Rosenau for several occasions, and a number of young people have, before this debacle came up, used to complain to me about the inability to access Lindo Park from time to time. You understand? So I think I'm hoping that the consultation we'll be having because we have engaged a consultant on this. We're hoping that the consultations we'll be having with regards to Lindo Park, to the National Sports Council, the sports policy, and the new act to govern sports in Dominica would seek to address those things. Because we have to treat playing facilities like we treat beaches. They are public facilities, and the public must have access to them, albeit the access must be managed, because you can have everybody in the village playing in different sports at one time. So we have to look at this and so on. So we're hoping that from a broader standpoint, that the sports policy would address those issues.
I have a question. I'm not sure if you allow the MP for Portsmouth.
Sure.
Well, can we get an update on the Honourable Funding Hotel?
I have to search.
Yeah, you could come here. Yeah, you could start.
As you know, the project has been managed from the beginning by the Moroccan government. And we are expecting a team from Morocco to come down to deal with issues of decor. So, for example, now that we're moving into fixtures, lighting fixtures, tiling, painting, all of those issues, we expect a team to come down from Morocco so that we can deal with that. But the project is certainly still on stream. And together with the range project, we expect those two projects will be completed in the near future.
I have another question.
But just to add to what my colleague Honourable Douglas has said in regards to Moroccan also. I mean, you will have seen substantial amount of work has been completed. All of the physical works have already been completed. The roofs are up, all of the blocks are in. What the next phase really is for the tiling and for the fixtures, as indicated. The problem is that the government changed the contractor team and the architectural team, and they have been very delayed in addressing this the replacement. We got communication last week, I saw, that they believe that they are close to addressing those issues. So we keep our fingers crossed that they can take the action and move forward. But no one can question that it's an important project for Portsmouth, for the entire country, if it were to come to completion and we start having guests in there. But it's a wonderful facility, and we're working diligently to get it completed.
Prime Minister,
Yes, sir.
people are concerned, and I mean, I think you've addressed that also on the basis of national security, the issue of young men and young girls, the spate of sexual offences in the courts, with the judge himself saying that that is something which we need to have a debate about, and we are concerned. Yes, 25 years, but what can government do, or what does government intend to do to really address that? Because it is alarming, and also some people, when they do their act, they get bail. The issue of the bail act and all those things.
Sure. Sure. I mean, it will require, I agree with you, some consultation. But you see, we have to look to ourselves to address the situation. We can't look to government as the only stakeholder. Because crime is a societal problem. And therefore, you're going to require a societal response to addressing crime. The issue of sexual offenses against minors is a major concern. Whether it's one child, whether it's 15 children, whether it's 2 children. Any such should be condemned by our people. And it must be consistent. We shouldn't be laying blame. We must hold he who has caused the crime, committed crime, responsible. We must not give people who have committed these crimes against children that it's not your fault, it's the state's fault. Because the law is very strong in respect to sentencing, 25 years. Now, if the courts give you somebody 4 years or 8 years, you can't hold the government responsible for that. Because the government has gone to the parliament to enact laws to say maximum 25. When you have a situation where, based on what the police prosecutions are saying publicly and so on, that you have a matter before the courts, then the victim refuses to speak because there has been some arrangement between the accused and the victim. And then once the case is thrown out for want of prosecution, you see the victim's family and the accused family going home on the same vehicle, same bus, together, in a jovial manner. Who do you hold responsible for this? What we're looking at, and we've discussed in the cabinet with the minister and the attorney general, is that there are some amendments we may have to make to the law. In California, I've been studying this for some time, where in Hollywood you have a high rate of domestic violence among the celebrities. There were a lot of reports of domestic violence and so on. The police reports the matter, investigate the matter, charge the accused. And once it comes to prosecution, either the husband or wife, whoever is the victim, say, look, I'm no longer interested in prosecuting the case. And the state would have spent millions of dollars investigating the matter and bringing for prosecution. What they did was that they amended the law to say once you report the matter, it becomes a criminal case. So whether you want, once you give a statement, that statement will be used in court. So we're looking at that to see, well, once a case is brought before the police that is treated differently than is now being treated, so that if the victim does not want to cooperate going down the road, the law will be able to address that. The other recommendation one of the recommendations the minister has made is in respect to putting a minimum and a maximum. So instead of 25 years, you could say a minimum of 10 years, maximum 25 years. So that it allows the courts now to be constricted to a minimum. Because if you say maximum 25, nothing prevents the court from giving you 2 months. Nothing prevents the court from giving you a year. Nothing prevents the court from giving you 2 years or 4 years. You see? So what we may want to look at, of course, in consultation, because the minister will be meeting a group of interested parties, I mean, this week or next Friday, so that we can work together. It's not about them and us, it's about working together to address a societal problem. You see, so what I would like the public to look at is, let us see what we can do. Because some of us may know of people in the communities who are doing this and not say anything. Because most of these cases, as far as I understand it, is caused by a relative. at the home a friend, an associate, an acquaintance. The mothers know, the grandmother know, the uncle knows, the neighbor knows. And they will not come to be witnesses of the state. They will not report the matter. And if they report the matter, and after a while, you know, they have a few drinks together and a little party take place and so on, and people forget about the case. So it is frustrating the police in this investigation. It is frustrating the prosecutors in their prosecution, because the main witness is no longer prepared to cooperate. What do you do? So you have the report of the case. The case has been investigated by the police. The file has been sent to DPP's office. The DPP is seeking to prosecute the case, but the main witnesses are not prepared to cooperate with the state. And then we have a destroyed person for life, because the parents have entered into some kind of arrangement for monetary gain. So we have to ask our children questions. And we, all of us must so we should not go on the blame game. As a state, we take responsibility for any child who's been violated or anything that goes wrong in the country. But we as individuals must also take our responsibility. So we're not passing the buck. And I'm saying to us that whatever that we have to do, obviously within the framework of the Constitution, we'll do it to protect our children. But laws in itself, a law in itself is not going to be the solution. You have in Indonesia where if you're found with trafficking drugs, you'll be executed by a firing squad. But people still traffic with drugs. You see, in Saudi Arabia, they cut your hands, but people still trafficking drugs. So laws alone are not going to help. We have to go to the African proverb: it takes a village. In that case, it takes a country to deal with the issue. So the clergy, we have to play our part. The media must play their part in reporting this matter in a sensitive and responsible manner. The various groups, the welfare department, the police, the community, all of us must take responsibility. The moment we take responsibility for it, I believe we can work towards addressing this problem in our country. But if we allow these vagabonds out there to believe that they're good citizens, and it is not their fault, it's the government's fault, then what's going to happen, my brother? And that's what's happening. We're not approaching the discussion with a view to coming up together with a solution. We always reduce it to a criticism of the government. The government must do this, the government do that. But the government has shown where the government has done a number of things. It is left to us and our society. And that's my respectful view. That's how I see it. But I also say that we are reviewing the law. There are already recommendations on the table.
No bail in conjunction with the bail act?
Well, we'll look at it. We'll look at it. That one has been discovered. We'll look at it. But you see, we have to be consistent, you know. We have to be consistent in our country. Because there are times when the government has to go to Parliament to pass laws to protect our citizens. And we've had to put it back because of the public condemnation of the government.
Well, maybe you did not consult.
No, we consult. Of course we consult. Of course we consult. What do you call it off? You see, we always reduce a lot of serious matters in the country too often to partisanship. You know, and these days with the talk shows and so on, with no offense to Matt being present, but we get a lot of education from talk shows, and sometimes the hosts are not sufficiently knowledgeable in the subject matter. Well, you know, some to Matt. You know, they're not educated, so it becomes too sensational. So it's a talk show, or talk shows originally came about to educate the masses, to allow them to share their views and concerns in society. But it has been reduced to, in large measure, to entertainment. So Matt will call triple A or double A in vacancy. So where's Skerrit today now? Skerrit is the swimming pool now. Or Skerrit is having some oranges or some passion fruit. Let me tell you something. You love entertainment, you know. And therefore, too many of our people are subjecting themselves to that medium of education. And so I would like to see Matt go back to the original Matt days of hosting talk show, where he educates people. He used to be good at it, but no, we're friendly exchange there. But Matt has lost his way a little bit. Matt has gotten carried away by the audience. But I think he needs to carry the program, not let the audience carry the program. Because I used to go to Matt. I used to go to Matt program. I mean, Matt has some talent. But the thing is, Matt is getting excited about the number of boy, you're good this morning, boy, Mad boy. You know? but I think we have to go back to the thing of serious. So when somebody calls and says something that is not true, and you as the host knows that it's not true, you have a responsibility and a duty to tell the person it's not true.
We have to point to some instances. But Mr. Prime Minister, not to leave this. Yeah. Let's leave an issue that you dealt with. Not that I'm running away. We can.
No, that's fine.
We have an exchange one-on-one.
That's a side I was making.
A preamble. You said a little while ago that your government is not political, and that may be true in some instances. But here we have a perfect opportunity. Venezuela providing the perfect opportunity for job creation, manufacturing concern. An initiative by the Venezuelan government, the ambassador is right there, he can talk to that as well. Toilet paper that they need in Venezuela. We have a big manufacturing concern. And it seems that the government is not moving on this, and some people think it may be political. Again, I repeat, it may be political. What is the government doing about this initiative by Venezuela trying to provide an opportunity for manufacturing concern down in Canefield, where more jobs can be created if we take this on?
I mean, I'm not sure where you get that information from. Did you get it from the owner of the plant, or based on what you hear people say?
No. If you're talking, yes, no. I've got it from the owner. He has spoken to me about it. He has spoken
but the owner
to me about the concerns of the ambassador.
The owner should,
not doing anything about
the owner should tell you that this government has assisted and facilitated this investment above and beyond what we normally do for any other investor. So let us, men want to speak the truth. Men must speak the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So held them God. Not try to sensationalize serious business. Any investor in Dominica, whether you are a supporter of the government or not, I have great admiration for you. Because I understand that these people will put their life's earnings to create jobs in the country. So whatever we can do, we facilitate this. This is why we have gone out to negotiate loans, to drop the interest rates from what it used to be at 12% at Aid Bank to an average of 6.5%. You understand? This is why we have given the Aid Bank money from the government sources to lend. This is why we give money to the NDFD to lend at the lower interest rates. And we give a commitment to doing those things to people. So we did, in fact, and Ambassador Aaron did, in fact, provide information to the Venezuelans. The issue is that the Venezuelans had other existing means of procuring, they had existing contracts to procure their supplies. But the other issue too, you must understand that when you go to a person to supply them, you must have firm guarantees in terms of the quantity that you're talking about and one's ability to supply the quantity in a consistent manner, in a reliable basis. But I will not. If the owner of the toilet paper told you that the government has not entertained his, I met with him myself on this issue. So I don't think it's fair for anybody to say that we did not do anything. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I don't know why he would say that to you or to anybody else. I mean, one, he can say that we have not been successful in getting paper sold, but I don't think one can say that we did not do anything to seek to facilitate that discussion and so forth. I don't think it's fair at all. At the end of the day, we're talking about a sovereign state. We can't impose ourselves on any country, no matter how close or far we are into the relationship with a country. All we can do is to facilitate the discussion and to express an interest. And it is something that we're more than willing to re-engage on. And we can arrange a meeting if the company and the ambassador here as early as this week. Friday, we can still meeting. But it's unfortunate that when we make those statements that the government don't do anything, the government helped me, and so it's not true. This is not true at all. You know, it's not true. I mean, I don't have the liberty, I can't go and speak on every issue I have discussed with people. So I am constrained by what I say to the public when people say those things. Because I don't want to engage anybody in confrontation. That's not my style. People should know that. I mean, if a man attack me, I can respond. But I don't go attacking people. But I don't like engaging people in public confrontation on these issues, on these serious issues like that. For me, an investment is not about politics. It's about job creation. It's about assisting the country in expanding its economy and create a better work life for our citizens. And therefore, so we have to treat this thing very seriously from both sides. But we are more than willing to re-engage the Venezuelans on the gentleman's behalf if he is still interested. But I want to say that we didn't do anything. And I will not agree with anybody to say, because I have heard public statements about Dr. Aaron not assisting and so forth. But that's not true at all. That's not true at all. Okay? It's 2 hours gone, yeah? Oh, a lot of time. So I'll see you in 1 month's time. But you can always see me and hear me from time to time on a bilateral basis if you want. But we are accessible. No, we're committing to it. Well, if I'm not there, then the acting Prime Minister will sit in. Yeah. But thank you very much, and have a wonderful afternoon.